All right, you've got 7:01 and you are live.
Thank you, Carrie. It's June 1, 2021, and the June 1st meeting of the City of Oneonta Common Council is hereby called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Herzig,
Here.
Councilmember Murphy,
Here.
Councilmember Davies,
Here.
Councilmember Risberger,
Here.
Councilmember Lapari-Shu,
Here.
Councilmember Carson,
Here.
Councilmember Harrington,
Here.
Councilmember Rafter,
Here.
Councilmember Drennick.
Here.
Okay, everybody is here. Thank you very much. Welcome to all. It's a beautiful June day out there. Okay, we have two public hearings scheduled for tonight. The first one is the council passed a ordinance 2 weeks ago to amend Chapter 68 of the Code of the City of Oneonta entitled Animals. In essence, this code code change is primary impact is to permit beekeeping in the City of Oneonta. Do we have anybody here to comment on that, Carrie?
You have nobody in the waiting room and no correspondence received.
Okay, so I will close that public hearing. I will now open a public hearing on an ordinance that was passed also previously to amend Chapter 122 of the Code of the City of Oneonta entitled Masks and Face Coverings. This amends the current code. In essence, this discontinues the current ordinance that requires the wearing of masks in the downtown district. Yet the city would retain the authority to require and enforce mask wearing at special events as deemed appropriate. Do we have anybody here to speak on that, Carrie?
Nobody in the waiting room and no correspondence.
Okay, then I will close that public hearing and sign both of those into effect either tonight or tomorrow morning. Okay, let's go down to board and commission reports. Airport Commission, Councilmember Carson.
Mayor. We met and had a very short or brief meeting. I believe it was less than 12 minutes. And we basically spoke about the apron work that's beginning June 14th. That contract was awarded last year and they waited until proper weather temperatures to start the work. That'll begin June 14th, and I believe they have 75 calendar days to complete the work. We also talked about the fuel farm bids. Since the meeting, I can update everybody that the bids did come in on the 26th at 2 p.m. We only had 2 bids, and both bids were more than the grant monies that were allocated through the New York State Department of Transportation. So, we're moving on to Plan B, where we're going to ask that agency for more monies. And if that's unsuccessful, then we'll have to change the scope of the work for the fuel farm and move forward with that. And that was all the business that was talked about at the airport commission meeting.
How far off were they, Len?
500,000.
Out of 500,000 out of a total of?
It was between $500,000 and $700,000 out of an initial top ceiling of 800,000.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
Prices on steel have gone up dramatically in the last 14, 15 months. And so the specs were written, I believe, at the end of 2019. So a little frustrating because of the steel prices.
Yeah.
It happens.
Anybody else have any questions for Councilmember Carson regarding airport business? Okay, if not, thank you. Let's go to the Planning Commission. Councilmember Risberger, please.
Yes, thank you. Planning Commission met a couple times since our last meeting. They met first on May 19th, and this was the annual meeting with the fraternities and sororities that are looking for special use permits. And we had 3 groups come forward. I'm just counting here to make sure I got this right, which is fewer than in the past. Phi Kappa Psi and Alpha Sigma Phi were both tabled till the next meeting. Let's see here. Phi Kappa Psi did not have all their documentation in just yet. And so we tabled it to allow Stephen to collect all that data before they came forward. And then Alpha Sigma Phi, that they still had a couple minor code violations, Stephen said. He felt that they should be ready by June. So the board decided to table that one also, rather than give them an early okay. And then TKE, the Tau Kappa Epsilon, they were approved. And then Hartwick came forward with their plan for a solar farm that they want to put up on the behind their property. And there was some concern about this from a few neighbors that came forward. Right now, the Planning Commission's plan is to give notice of intent to be the lead agency, since there's multiple jurisdictions involved. I believe it's the town and the county. This was a difficult meeting and showed the time. I don't know if they've got music on, but if they could mute themselves. It shows the time of the times that we're in, that the chair of the meeting lost his computer for almost 10 minutes and was unable to get back into the meeting. So it was a little awkward, but we powered through. And there's also going to be some information coming to the legislative committee for a decommissioning plan. So we can develop some sort of decommissioning agreement for solar farms. Now, we also met on, if you give me just a second here. I've got multiple windows open here. The Planning Commission also had a special meeting on May 26th. This was a sketch plan conference for Springbrook for their building project down on Main Street. So the site plan review meeting is going to take place in the near future. So it was basically, there was not a lot of new information that we hadn't already had presented to us. So I think there's more to come.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Councilmember Risberger regarding the Planning Commission meeting? Okay. Hearing none, I only have those 2 commission reports on the agenda. Hopefully I'm not missing any. So let's go to committee reports. Dave Risberger, you're still up. Planning Committee. You're muted.
Okay. Okay, Planning Committee met on May 24th, and we had a number of issues. One was a discussion about brush and waste collection. This was an issue about leaf bags being left out too early and the problem that they disintegrate. So, and people didn't want to necessarily be left to cutting their lawn or taking care of their lawn only on sunny days or the weeks that everything got picked up. So the plan is to leave a dumpster outside the gate at the dump. So on the weekends, when typically people are able to go to the dump to take their leaf bags down there. This allows them to put the bags in the into the dumpster, and a sign's going to be put on the dumpster saying that this is not for garbage, this is for leaf bags. And this is mainly for people that don't have a place to put the leaf bags in out of the elements. So people that don't have a garage or a shed or a carport or anything like that. Or anybody that just doesn't want to have the bags sitting in front of their house for a week or two. And then Councilman Drennick gave an update on the downtown events. He said the town gown events were completed. They were well received by the students. And he gave a review of the summer street closures. So, and Mark, correct me if I get anything wrong here, that the tables, chairs, umbrellas, and stands have been delivered to the participating restaurants and they're stored on site. There were 3 10-foot by 15-foot tents for stage spaces. And this year the entertainment's going to be staggered under these tents at 3 different locations on Main Street and spread out. It's starting on June 19th, pending council approval. And this is, it'll run from June 19th through September 4th. And the hours are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Carrie gave a great update on the city website. The migration of the website is done. And Carrie, if I get anything wrong on this one, let me know. I believe you said the average go live time is now 4 weeks from the migration being done.
Correct.
And Carrie and Dave Corey have each received content manager software training. And she gave a fantastic tour of the website. I think the website it's much more user friendly. I think everybody's going to be happy with what we have coming forward. Gary discussed the Otsego County mitigation plan. If anybody has heard about this, this is a county-led process. It's updated every few years. If you go to the mitigation plan, the Oneonta section, one of the excerpts is to explain what this is. This concentrates on actions that can be implemented prior to a disaster to reduce or eliminate damage to property and people. And this will include a general overview of the municipality and who in the city participated in the planning process, an assessment of the city of Oneonta's risk and vulnerability, the different capabilities used in the city, and an action plan that will be implemented down the road if needed. So the council will need to approve the plan, and I believe this is on our agenda tonight. This is pretty significant also, as it's the first mitigation plan that incorporates climate change. And so this was approved by the committee, and I hope everyone will support it. And lastly, let's see here. Actually, in regards to the mitigation plan, Eric Shrivner of the county said there's no hard deadline on this, but they are trying to have this adopted in the next 2 to 3 months. And that's the department timeline with all the different participating municipalities. So, and that's all I have for that. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Katie.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Just with regard to the lawn and leaf recycling, I know that's something that I had brought up before, and I'm sorry that I wasn't able to make that meeting for that discussion. I wondered if we might be able to talk about that a little bit more later on as a council, just because I have been talking with some constituents about it. And in addition to the solution that you guys provided, I wanted to just ask about the feasibility of maybe getting like a paper memo out to people via mail, just for folks who don't use the Nixle, having something concrete come that says like these are your pickup days this month would be really helpful.
It is on the city website. I mean, I have no problem with asking it to get a paper memo out. That's fine. But it is on the city website.
Yeah.
Are these people that don't have access to the
Well, I think the idea is to just make it universally accessible. And so just to remove that barrier if the information comes to the homeowner. I think the biggest thing that I hear from people is, when something happens and it's inconvenient, they say, did they send out a letter about this? And, I know that we're, as a city, trying to get into more seemingly efficient ways of communication, but that doesn't necessarily work for our entire constituency. And so this, I think, is just one of those things where this problem could really easily be solved if people had a reminder, like on a magnet on their fridge, of when their pickup was going to be, rather than seeking out that information. If it was delivered to them, I think that would be really effective.
Sure.
Thanks.
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to ask about that nixle to start with. If we know when the container will be available, and are we kind of?
Yeah, I asked Greg to let us know when the container was put out, but
Right.
I think we need to come up with some creative ways, like Katie was saying. of
Right.
getting
And
it
so to that point, I was going to suggest the radio station for PSAs. They're free. They're happy to do it. There's a couple of different places we can kind of get that word out, social media as well. But the nixle, I know, is one of the things that kind of caused some concern, because it looked like it was actually talking specifically to a person. I felt that my leaves were not that people were watching.
Oh, you're talking about the garbage.
Yes, I am. I'm talking about the brush pickup.
Yeah, well, the nixle that went out to everybody was not, it looked like it was about the brush, but it was actually about the debris and garbage that was left out.
Right.
Around. So I asked about that immediately because I was wondering why I got that, but that had to do with all the garbage that was left at the side of the road after all the students left.
Right. In any event, though, a nixle actually is a pretty good tool, and then we can look at some of the other options that are free, honestly free.
Sure. Katie, I'll put that on the agenda for our next meeting, and we can get a follow-up from Greg.
Thanks.
And have a further discussion about that.
Dave, just to jump in quick, we plan to put that truck with the dumpster out starting this weekend. We were gonna issue a nixle
Okay.
this week. Do you want to wait to talk at the next meeting as far as putting out a mailing, or would we like to?
Well,
With
a nixle costs us nothing but a minute's time, but it sounds like we need more than nixle. And I think I like all these ideas. I even like the magnet idea, but then I realized that not all our refrigerators are magnetic anymore. So there's no perfect way to get everybody, but maybe if we can do the most as many ways as possible with the least amount of money that we have to spend on it, I think that would be a good idea. If you have any other ideas that you can come up with, Greg, that are like the PSA is free, the nixle is free. Katie, you have an idea?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that I wasn't suggesting that we send out magnets. Just that if a
No,
if a
I like
little
that
postcard
idea.
came, they're
I
so
like
expensive though. If a postcard came to my house, I'd be like, oh shoot, I need to remember this, and I would put it on my fridge. I recognize that not everybody does that, but that's all I was saying is, people might go, oh right, I need to remember this, if it's right in front of them.
If Greg, would you? Does anybody have any idea what it would cost to send out a postcard to everybody in the city? With
I mean, it'd be like a bulk mailing. I think they're.
So we have a bulk mailing rate, but how much are we talking about?
It's been a while since I've sent a mailing out. Maybe Jenny would know from the water bills, but we could look into that.
I think there was a discussion sometime last year where we said we were going to put the schedule in with the water sewer bill. So that might be something we can do for 2022, is have the schedule fermented and then just make it part of the water sewer bill.
Well, how about this? We do the freeways, which is the PSA and nixle, and let's put it on the agenda of our next meeting, and we can discuss it with Greg and let's get something in place for, at the very least, for next year. I think that's a good idea with a water sewer bill, Len. Which those, a little late for this year, but for next year, we could get that in place too.
Ginny, were you gonna chime in with bulk mailing rates in your experience?
A postcard is about 35 cents per postcard.
Okay.
So say we mailed out, 5,000 of them, but we would also have to have them printed and things like that. So I don't know if you would just like to pay for a half-page ad in the paper, and then they can cut the ad out of the paper. Just an idea to throw out there.
Yeah, maybe let's talk about it at the meeting.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions for Dave. Okay, let's move on to the Finance and Human Resources Committee. Councilmember Carson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We also met on May 24th. Sorry. We had 20 items on our agenda. And as Councilmember Scott Harrington pointed out, we accomplished that list in just over 2 hours, I think it was, right? I was going back looking at the different video recordings, and I noticed that the Finance Committee meeting had 71 views. That's pretty impressive, that there's at least 70 people out there that find finance as fascinating as I do. With that said, I'd like to congratulate Wayne Hubbard. He's motion number 3 tonight for joining the City of Oneonta staff. I also like to congratulate Ronald Georgia in becoming a working supervisor. That's motion 4. Reese Manchester, I believe, is going to be a lateral transfer from Ginny's department back to the police department. I believe we had actually hired her sometime in 2020 or 21, excuse me, as a police officer. But she's going to go back and she's going to be our animal control officer, along with our parking enforcement. Also like to congratulate Justin Sabellaro to being selected as a potential police officer. He's going to be going to school, I believe it was in July, and graduating sometime in December. Police chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but somewhere's in the timetable.
He starts the 5th. We have him for pre-academy that week and then goes to the academy on the 12th.
Okay. And he finishes up in December?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. Also want to congratulate Brittany Critty for accepting a position within Ginny's department, finance. There needs to be a soft amendment to motion 8. It's a typo. It's not an A1, it's actually A2. Gary, I don't know if you need to pull that to just make that typo change, but that's your call. But the only change to that motion would be that it's an A2 instead of an A1. We went through diligently looking at the different contracts that we're asking you to approve, so the mayor can sign with Harvard College, Hillside Commons, the Student Association of SUNY Oneonta. Pretty excited that the Family YMCA, under the direction of Frank Russo, was able to come up with the summer program for just under $30,500. That's good. They increased the number of children, City of Oneonta children, that they'll be able to put into their program. That's good. I also wanted to bring up the walkway, which is motion 15. If you'll notice, the construction costs are $141,500, and it looks as though we are going to recover through our insurance company that amount. So this is good news for the city taxpayers that unfortunately private entity, the box truck, caused the damage. I know that through the diligence of the Oneonta Police Department, the investigation has been successful, and hopefully through our insurance company, those funds will be collected. All good. And then motion 19, I think there was a little bit of misunderstanding walking into that during our meeting, but I do just want to give some clarity on this. This is a public-private partnership. We're entering into an agreement with Springbrook Foundation, who's investing a little under, probably will end up being over $5 million into the Ford block, creating opportunity for middle-income housing, which is needed in our community. Very exciting project. This payment that we're looking at, the majority of it is in the elevator costs. I believe it was Mark or Scott or John, correct me if I'm wrong. I remember it being something like $330,000 just for the elevator alone. So there's no way around the cost, but this is something that we've had a partnership with the previous owners in this walkway. We do not want to lose it. This is in perpetuity, so I think this is a great investment for the city of Oneonta, along with the Springbrook Foundation. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I think that was it. I'll try to answer anybody's questions.
Questions, anyone? Okay, I see none, so we'll move on. Okay, before we go to the consent agenda, yesterday was Memorial Day, and while it was a solemn event, it was also one that combined also pride and joy in people being able to, for the first time, post-COVID, have a post-COVID feel of people coming together. We had several hundred people show up for the parade and a good size turnout as well for the ceremony. Neither the ceremony nor the parade were as large as we typically have, but I think they were no less, if not more meaningful than most events. So everybody felt who was there. Well, it was a sad day in remembering those who lost their lives on our behalf. It was also, in some ways, a joyous day that people were able to at least remember together, which is something that we haven't been able to do lately. I want to thank a number of people for making this happen. I want to thank Councilmember Carson, who coordinated the effort and was smart enough to call upon all the right people to get the job done. I want to thank Les Grummins, who always does a wonderful, respectful job of emceeing the ceremony. I want to thank David Hayes, who single-handedly put together the parade, and that's no small job. It was wonderful to get to see Fred Hicken riding in a 1957 Chevrolet owned by John Brooks, along with his wife Eleanor. That was special to see. If you don't know, Fred Hicken is one of our few remaining World War II veterans here. I think in the city of Oneonta, it's probably less than how many you can count on one hand left of World War II veterans here in the city. Bill Davis, another one of our World War II veterans, rode in a car along with former Mayor Dave Brenner. Our veterans groups always do a great job of putting together the ceremony. So it was a good day. It was a good day. I'm sure I'm leaving people out, but I want to just thank everybody who stepped up. Doug Brenner, former police chief Doug Brenner, helped coordinate the ceremony as well. So, and I'm sure I'm leaving others out, but it was a good day. It's always important to take the time to remember. And it's also it was nice to be able to get together in person, see people face to face who we haven't seen in a long time, and to remember those who have fallen together. It was meaningful.
And Gary,
Yeah.
I just wanted to pass along from the veterans organizations a heartwarm thank you for you acknowledging how your family had been affected, being put into the Constitution camps, and that you personally thanked Fred and other World War II veterans for their heroism, for what they endured to make that happen. And I know it was commented multiple times at the Veterans Club yesterday for your thanking Fred and others.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. Okay, with that, let's go to the consent agenda. I'll read through once, and then if anybody wants any items removed, please let me know, and I will do so. One is a motion that the council approves the minutes of the regular meeting, which was held on May 18th, 2021. Two, motion that the council approves the warrants, which total $166,085.83. Number three is motion that the council, and that the same be placed on the Director of Finance's desk for payment as presented. Number three, motion that the council appoints Wayne Hubbard to the position of heavy equipment operator at a base annual salary of $34,265. This would become effective June 2nd, 2021, and of course is subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service requirements. Four, motion that the council appoints Ronald Georgia to the position of working supervisor at a base annual salary of $40,762. This would become effective July 6th, 2021. It is subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service requirements. And the council further authorizes the assignment of an annual stipend of $2,500 to Mr. Georgia, which would become effective upon his hire for his additional duties as a master plumber. Master plumbers are getting harder and harder to find. Number five, motion that the council appoints Reese Manchester to the position of ordinance inspector at a base annual salary of $31,767, effective June 2nd, 2021, subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service requirements. The council further authorizes the assignment of an annual stipend of $2,500 to Ms. Manchester, effective upon her hire, for additional duties to be formed as our animal control officer. Six, motion that the council appoints Justin Ceballero to the position of police officer at a base annual salary of $40,000. This would become effective on July 6th, 2021, and would be subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service requirements. Seven, motion that the council appoints Brian Knapp to the position of assistant fire chief at a base annual salary of $80,000, effective June 2nd, 2021, subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service requirements. Eight, motion that the council appoints Brittany Critty to the position of accountant at a base annual salary of $50,000. This would become effective on June 21, 2021, subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service requirements. Nine, motion that the council authorizes the mayor to enter into an agreement with Hartwood College of Oneonta for the 2021 through 2022 academic year for the continued provision of Oneonta Public Transit bus services with an annual charge of $30,000, subject to review by the city attorney. 10, motion that the council authorizes the mayor to enter into an agreement with Hillside Commons Oneonta, LLC, for the period of August 1, 2021 through July 31, 2023, for the continued provision of Oneonta Public Transit bus services with an annual charge of $97,587. And this, of course, would be subject to review by the city attorney. 11, motion that the council authorizes the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Student Association of the State University College at Oneonta for the period of August 1, 2021 through May of 2022, and also for the period August 2022 through May of 2023. This would be for the continued provision of Oneonta Public Transit bus services with an annual charge of $285,500, subject also to review by the city attorney. 12, motion that the council authorizes the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Oneonta Family YMCA to provide services for the Summer Afternoon Adventure Program in the amount of up to $30,495, and further authorizes a waiver from provisions of the city's purchasing policies and procedures manual relative to professional services. This agreement is subject also to the approval of the city attorney. 13, motion that pursuant to the provisions of general municipal law of the state of New York, the council approves an expenditure of $37,938.43 from the General Public Safety Reserve. This would be used toward the purchase of a police vehicle from Van Bortel Ford of East Rochester, pursuant to the state's joint procurement program to piggyback on the County of Onondaga procurement. 14, motion that the council approves the amendment to the city's purchasing policies and procedures manual, authorizing the city administrator and or the director of finance to execute agreements for natural gas and electricity contracts via the Municipal Electric and Gas Alliance, known as MEGA, procurement bids as presented, effective immediately. 15, motion that the council establishes the following Water Street Pedestrian Bridge Capital Project to provide the necessary declared emergency repairs resulting from damage which was sustained by the walkway. There would be cost of engineering services, $16,500, construction, $125,000, for a total of $141,500. And it is hoped, expected that those funds would come from insurance payments based upon our existing policy. 16, motion to approve a budget transfer in the amount of $6,624 to line A.1620.464. This is the shared building city hall line coming from A.1990.480, which is the general fund contingency line. This would fund the council chamber recording system. And for those who are listening and don't know what that is, once we go back to in-person meetings, we want to continue to allow the public to access and participate meetings through the Zoom platform. And so this would give us a higher quality audio and video production so that people have become accustomed to being able to access meetings from home. They will continue to be able to do so, as well as participate from home. And I thank Councilmember Drenick for taking the lead on moving this forward. 17, motion to approve the following budget amendment to fund the fire department staffing. Okay, we need to fund the fire personal services line to the tune of $108,500. $25,500 would come from the general fund employee benefit reserve. The balance, $83,000, would come from our general fund balance. 18. Motion to approve the following budget amendments to fund the finance department staffing. We would be transferring $27,500 from the fund balance, which we dispersed through various personnel lines, which would include salary and benefits. And 19, motion that the council approves the following resolution. Whereas the city of Oneonta wishes to develop and maintain a walkable downtown, and whereas the city recognizes the public benefit of providing convenient public pedestrian access between Main Street, Water Street, and the municipal parking garage, so therefore be it resolved that the council authorizes the mayor to sign a letter of commitment to provide a one-time payment up to $411,000 to the Springbrook Foundation pursuant to a future contract, which would secure permanent public access to the walkway and future elevator to be located at 184-202 Main Street. Funding for this commitment will be provided within the planned municipal parking garage and renovation project. As Councilmember Carson stated, this would allow us to continue to use this space rent-free in perpetuity, even if the property changes hands down the road. And it would also provide us with public access, a public walkway, an elevator to a space that has been completely renovated, updated, as well as there would be office space and personnel monitoring it, at least during some of the hours. And that concludes the consent agenda. So we've got 19 items. If anybody has any items they want removed, just raise your hand. Katie Lepari-Shu, what do you got? You're on mute, Katie.
Okay. I got it. 7, please. And then the last one that you read also, I just have a quick question.
I think that's 19.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't have the number in front of me.
That's okay, it's 19. Any others? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, less items 7 and 19. Councilmember Carson, second by Councilmember Risberger. And for the clerk, please call the vote on that.
Councilmember Murphy?
Aye.
Councilmember Davies?
Yes.
Councilmember Risberger?
Aye.
Councilmember Lepari-Shu?
Aye.
Councilmember Carson?
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Rafter?
Yes.
Councilmember Drennick?
Aye.
Okay, that 17 motions of the consent agenda passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll now jump over to motion 7 regarding the appointment of Brian Knapp to the position of Assistant Fire Chief. Do I have a motion to approve? Councilmember Harrington, second by Councilmember Risberger. Discussion.
Yeah, so I just wanted to pull this one because I had asked a question via email of our personnel director that I thought I would ask her to just share with the general public. So I guess my question is, we're promoting this person to assistant chief, and since we also need a chief. My question was very simply, why not give this person the chief's position? And she had a really great response that I thought would be good to share with everyone.
Sure. Katie, how much do you want me to get into? Would you like me to just read it or just give the highlights? I mean, what are you looking for me to do?
I mean, probably just highlights so that the public understands what the plan is and why the decision is being made.
Sure. Okay. So I think in general, it's important to remember that, you know, the leadership structure that we have currently, while incredible and they're doing a really terrific job, it is and always was intended to be temporary. You know, we know that we are looking at probably a vacancy in the office of chief, perhaps as early as sometime late this summer. So in order to take the appropriate steps that we need to put a succession and transition plan in place, you know, Greg and I had informed the finance committee that we were looking at evaluating assistant chief options because we already have a really incredible chief who's, you know, doing a really good job. So that said, you know, legally, we can only have one fire chief. We can have as many assistant chiefs as we need to. I understand that, you know, I think I addressed either in my email, Katie, or perhaps in the memorandum that the Chief Mancini and I had jointly issued to all of you last night. As it stands, there had been a decision to defund temporarily the assistant chief line. So I understand that this, to an extent, is somewhat of a big ask here, and it's somewhat different than kind of what we had talked about doing through the budget process last year. However, I think it's important to recognize that the environment in which that budgetary decision was made changed, you know, when Chief Pigeon retired in February. So of course, you know, we had a person with 30+ years of experience leading the department. When he elected to retire, of course, that experience went with him. So I believe that there is sufficient justification to warrant revisiting, you know, the decision that was made very legitimately last year and you know, it was a very difficult decision to, you know, defund that budget line. I think the other, you know, the question that you had, Katie, regarding why not a chief? I mean, you know, I tried to make the point in my email that the current chief that we have, you know, to whom we have at least a minimum 6-month commitment, is doing a fantastic job. I think that's really important to recognize. He was handed a very difficult situation and has really resolved a lot of issues and has done a terrific job. Brian, who's the candidate that was recommended by the public safety expert panel that the chief and I had convened, you know, I think it's important to mention too, and I don't know if I said this in my email, but the panel that selected Brian, there were 161 aggregate years of public safety experience sitting on that panel. And that was something that really spoke volumes to me about why they selected the person that they did. So at any rate, you know, Brian, he meets the civil service requirements. He meets the you know, the legal requirements for the position. And it was felt by the panel that he really possessed the solid skill set and leadership abilities and capabilities that are really needed to get the job done. So they thought that with those baseline abilities and his demonstrated excellent performance and having the ability to work with the current leadership structure that we have would really be beneficial to everybody in the department. You'd also asked about, you know, where we go, how do we appoint like a permanent fire chief? And the answer that I had for you is that that's to be determined. We do have an existing mandatory eligible civil service list that is in effect through April of 2022. And there are 4 candidates right now who are reachable on that list. So it is my intention, you know, that if, you know, providing the council agrees and supports the position of the panel and me, that we would have Brian begin as assistant chief so that way we could at least establish some sort of transition plan. And then after Greg is officially official as the city administrator, I would expect that he would, you know, make that a priority to come up with a game plan to tackle the appointment of a permanent successor for the fire chief. I don't know if that really answers all of your questions, Katie, or if there was anything else specific that you wanted me to address.
No, I think that was great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, do I have a motion? Is there any further discussion? Okay, if not, we also have it. We already have a motion. There was discussion, so there's no further discussion. Carrie, would you call the vote?
Councilmember Murphy.
Aye.
Councilmember Davies.
Aye.
Councilmember Risberger.
Aye.
Councilmember Lepari Shu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Rafter.
Yes.
Councilmember Drennick.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Jump down to 19. This regards the payment in order to have access to a renovated walkway and elevator in perpetuity for the public. Do I have a motion to approve? Councilmember Lepari Shu, second by Councilmember Carson. Discussion?
Yeah, so this is just a process question. I think this is a fantastic situation for the city. And I'm sorry if I don't have the most current information. It's two parts. Does Springbrook already own the property? And if not, is that what we mean by to be negotiated under a future contract?
They do not yet own the property. They have a signed purchase agreement,
Okay.
and we'll be moving forward with the purchase imminently. What would they need now for their board members and their lenders is just a letter of commitment from the council, as stated in this motion. Down the road, when construction gets started, we will negotiate a final contract with them, which stipulates the payment in exchange for providing us to permanent public access to the elevator and the walkway. Sorry for the background noise. The contract will come down the road. My guess is it's months away, could be 6 months away. I don't know. Construction probably won't start till late fall. So they first will purchase the building and then we will have a contract with them. Right now, it's just to provide them with a letter of commitment.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Anybody else? Okay, if there are none, would the clerk please call the vote on this?
Councilmember Murphy.
Aye.
Councilmember Davies.
Yes.
Councilmember Risberger.
Yes.
Councilmember Lepari Shu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Rafter.
Yes.
Councilmember Drennick.
Aye.
This passes. Thank you. And this is a step forward in making a project that has been dreamt for decades into a reality. This is going to be a win for all of us. And I do appreciate Springbrook's commitment to making this happen and making it happen in a very high quality way. Okay, we have a motion 20, and this is for discussion. Motion that the council approves the following. Whereas the city of Oneonta, with the assistance from Tetra Tech, has gathered information and prepared the Otsego County Hazard Mitigation Plan 5-year update. And whereas the Otsego County Hazard Mitigation Plan 5-year update has been prepared in accordance with the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. And whereas the city of Oneonta is a local unit of government that has afforded the citizens an opportunity to comment and provide input into the plan and the actions in the plan. And whereas the city of Oneonta has reviewed the plan and affirms that the plan will be updated no less than every 5 years. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the council of the city of Oneonta, by the council that the city of Oneonta adopts the Otsego County Hazard Mitigation Plan 5-year update as this jurisdiction's natural hazard mitigation plan and resolves to execute the actions in this plan. Do I have a motion to approve? Councilmember Davies, second by Councilmember Harrington. Discussion. Councilmember Harrington.
I just got two questions. One is the primary point of contact still has our former fire chief mentioned as the point of contact for the, should that be changed? And also the alternative point of contact, which is Greg, his title is city engineer, since he's going to be stepping into city administrator. Should that be changed to city administrator for him? And do we still want to keep our primary point of contact and our ultimate point of contact exactly the way they are?
Greg, do you want to take that?
Sure. I checked with Eric Scrivener from the county about that. That was actually raised at the planning committee meeting as well. And he advised that after the plan is formally adopted, we could still make changes like to contact information, that sort of thing, without redoing the whole process. So we can, we asked that, we can definitely update those titles and names.
Thanks.
Sure.
Any further discussion? If there is none, would the clerk please call the vote on this motion?
Councilmember Murphy,
Aye.
Councilmember Davies,
Yes.
Councilmember Risberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Lepari Shu,
Aye.
Councilmember Carson,
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Raptor,
Yes.
Councilmember Drennick.
Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. That concludes the motions on our agenda. I'll open it up for any additional business or council discussion from any council members. Okay, if there is none, correspondence. Wait, I'm backing up here. I think Mark Drennick had something.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to let folks know I'm having general meetings one after another now around these downtown street closures, pulling volunteers from every quarter. And if anybody's interested, I'll send them the Zoom link to that. The next one is Thursday at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Okay. Carrie, do you have any correspondence for us?
There is no correspondence.
Okay. I'm not aware of the need for an executive session tonight. So with that, I think if there's nothing else, we're adjourned. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Good night.